Good evening. Welcome everybody to our webinar number 20. And today we're gonna talk a little bit more about investment planning. Not so much on diving down into each individual stocks and portfolio management, but rather just go all the way back to right at the beginning of understanding exactly how to derive on why are you investing for and how can you possibly reach that goal and what kind of system you have to put in place to decide what kind of rate of return of targeted return that you need for your portfolio so that you can reach the financial goals that you set out to do. And my name is Stanley, and welcome to learnwithstanley.com Premium Club webinar. And I thank you all for taking the time in this evening to share this hour with me. And I'm very grateful for all of you guys here. And let's get right into it today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to understand what is the actual required rate of return for your investment to reach your specific financial goals. As always, our webinar is mostly for educational and information purposes. So we will not be talking about any specific investment stocks or ETF today, but more for the education of understanding how to plan for our investment and our personal finance. As you guys know, I have been working with iFAST Global Markets since the beginning of the year. And this is basically part of what we do right now in terms of helping clients in financial planning and also in investment advisory. And if you guys have been following some of my content for such a long time, you know that my philosophy has always been the same throughout the last decade or two, where I try to focus very much on long-term trends that I can identify and collect on key quality stocks or funds around that opportunities. And I like to keep a calm mind of being a contrarian. So we don't try to time the market, but rather just ensure that we continue to be invested throughout market cycles. And generally, in the long run, the market will prove that things will get better over time. Okay, I'll skip this part. And today, what we're going to dive a little bit deeper into, including giving you some actual case studies. And we're going to do a few simulation on a specific case studies that I have prepared for you guys of understanding to find out, for each of our personal journey or family financial journey to really think about where are we really going for and what are we saving for. And through understanding that and having a candid discussion maybe within yourself or within you and your family, and then plan out that route. What could possibly happen along that route? How are we going to go about achieving that goal? And how fast should we be actively working towards that goal, right? Do we have enough to maybe take a little bit more conservative path to reach the financial goal, or we have to work extra hard in both tweaking our finances and also improving our financial investment return in order for us to meet the financial goals that we want? And at the end of the day, as all value investor will tell you, at the end, let's look into how to even add some margin of safety for your plan, because no matter how well you plan it out, it is still a prediction and a simulation of how you can reach your financial goals. And there's always a issue of probability when it comes to investing, right? We could expect our our investment and portfolio to return a certain amount, but there is still going to be a possibility that we might be cut short of that, or we might even face some setback over time. And it was good for us to think about how to add some margin of safety, so that regardless of what happened, we would still be edging closer to that financial goal. Say, for example, right, I give a very simple example of myself. When I first started working when I'm in my 20s, and learning about investment. I learned about investment during my uni times, but of course, I don't have the funds to start at that time. But once I have the funds to look into investing, all I wanted is really to excel in the game of investing. I don't even know what I'm investing for, what am I saving for in my 20s. I have not thought so much about my long-term financial goals, but all I see is this is a game that I think I can win at it, and I wanted to do the best I can. And so I was always going for the maximum, at the beginning, maybe a high risk, high return kind of investment. And slowly later on, when the relationship between me and my girlfriend and now wife get more and more serious, there's gonna be the talks of getting married, and that become my next immediate goal, which is saving it just enough so that I can marry her. And after that, then the next one came along, which is planning for a family, planning for kids, and that become my main financial goals from that on. First planning up for one kid, and then another and another and another. Now, so it morphed into the default plan that I need to plan out for. My kids' education fund, their living expenses. Maybe when they first started getting work, something to get them started on, because I was lucky enough. Also, when I first getting started, my parents was able to give me a little bit of starting fuel to get started in life, so that I would not be so much struggling at the beginning. And I'm thankful for that, and that's something that I hope I can give my kids as well. So all that become what I'm planning out for, and work back on how I can achieve that goal. So the first thing is really for us to step back and think uh, more specifically, where are we going, right? It could be you have just started to learn about investing, and that's fine. You can treat it as something that you want to gain more knowledge of first. But once you have a little bit more confidence in yourself, or you have found an advisor that you trust and can work with in the long term, and that's when you can start to really decide, what exactly am I saving all this money for retirement, to buy a house, for my kids, for my medical expenses in the future, um, just as a safety net. Uh, I've been talking to a lot of clients, and it seems that the idea of just keeping a sum of money around and letting it grow so that it become a safety net for the family or for themselves is very, very important. And actually, that is something that I take for granted for a long time. Um, Maybe because my tolerance of risk is a little bit much higher, and or I never really felt the threat that I could uh, I the problem of survival uh, never really came across to me as a huge risk. So that was something that I take for granted. But when I started having the conversation with my wife about money, I realized that that part is quite important for her to just have a safety net in our finances. Not really just to do anything, but just to feel safe that we'll be all right. If anything happened to us, to our work, or to one of us, that could be also a financial goal as well, right? So today, let's dive down into a case study that I prepared out for you guys, and we're gonna look at a case study of a couple, a small family, a young family, named Stanley and Wendy. Right, not me. The name is coincidentally me and my wife's name, but I can assure you this is not my own life simulation, but something that I did do out for you guys through our a software that I'm using for all my clients to simulate life, call it a live simulation for them, including financial planning, insurance planning, out for them, where we do it inside the software. And just a quick explanation of how you can view this live live chart. So at the bottom, that's the age of the person, all the way to 99 years, right? It runs out all the way to 99 years, and you can expect, a certain life expectancy of maybe 80 plus. That will be, you just look through here. And this one on the y-axis is actually all the yearly expenses only. So this is only talking about yearly expenses. And the line indicates on the right-hand side your cash saving. So you including your emergency funds and everything that you have cash, how it grows and dwindles over time. This does not include your investment. This is purely your cash safety net. So there will be another chart for your net worth, and we can plan out within that, when you sell out your net worth to fuel your expenses and things like that. And every year is our yearly expenses, and the different color explain to us where the money is coming from. So when the person is still working, the blue color stands for we're just using our take-home pay to pay for our expenses. If there is a shortfall where we run out of cash, that will be indicated by red. So at that moment, we'll have some red. That means that we have to think about maybe liquidating some of our investment, or or maybe taking up a second mortgage and things like that to fund this cash shortfall. Yellow stands for just using the cash reserve that we have. So, for example, when it hits retirement age, you can see that they would get a huge jump in their cash saving, mainly coming from their EPF or CPF, and that would dwindle down over time. Using when we use the cash that we have to fund our lifestyle after retirement. And next would be green color, where it's coming from investment in a passive income. So that could be your dividend, that could be selling off part of your investment, and all this will be indicated by green color. So who are they? So for this example, we'll look at a young couple, Stanley and Wendy, a 28, 29-year-old couple. They now have one child, a 5-year-old child, and they are a dual income family, right? So both of them work, and they bring in roughly about 11,000 of household income. So they're a very, very typical middle class family. And these are some of the objectives that they are thinking about right now, which is uh, one is that they are thinking about having another child. So they want to save up, or they just want to understand, do they have enough to think about having another child? They want to save for their educational fund. So right now they have planned out education fund for one child, but with the new one coming, or they started planning for it. So do they have enough to save for both child education all the way up to university? And lastly, the last objective is, of course, also to look into saving for retirement. And within the software, we can actually do a very, very detailed breakdown and a landscape view of their entire financial situation right now. So for this example, we do a very simple one where they have a property about 500,000 where they are living in right now. Their other assets include just their EPF, as both are still also working, about 135,000 for Stanley and 140,000 for Wendy. So in all together, this is the asset that they have, which is around 820,000. And next, they have some investment that they started because they have started to look into investing. In their joint name account, they have, say, bought a unit trust at about 10K. They have some fixed deposit. They have unit trusts individually. So another 16,000 each. So altogether, they have invested, including their fixed fee, about $64,000. And liabilities, of course, we can also add in all their liabilities that they have. For this one, we just keep it simple. They only have the mortgage. So typically, a typical couple might even have car loans or a little bit of credit card debt here and there. But for just, for this example, let's keep it simple. They have a mortgage on their house that they're still paying at roughly $2,226 every month. And now this is the loan balance where we can simulate when they can pay off. Is it worthwhile for them to pay off early? And also even their income and expenses detail, including each of them. So like I said, they are earning about 11,000 per person, and we can take off their EPF or their tax purposes altogether, and combine and balance that with the household's expenses. We don't have to go into detail on each of the expenses, but altogether, here is they have roughly 160,000 of income and 140,000 of expenses. So they're still in a good place where they have some excess cash. And assuming that they would get increment every year, that should continue to grow over time. So the first objective that they want to understand is, can they afford another child? So we can put in a simulation of just having another child and how much that will cost. All these, of course, the figures is we can change it, but just for simplistic example, how we assume that the child gonna eat extra, how much it will cost uh, to afford the child for living expenses on a monthly basis, all the way to they are 21. How much is their childcare and kindergarten? How much is their school fees when they grow on primary and secondary? Assuming that maybe for the couple, they're gonna just send them to national school, you wouldn't cost that much, and maybe just on the school supplies amount that they have to bear for the children, or and the canteen expenses, right? And lastly, we can add how many extra expenses that we can think of. But for this one, I just added an extra vacation, right? If they're gonna have a vacation every single year, having that single one more child is gonna cost a little bit more, and that's just an estimation. And all this amount typically, once in our system, in my system, they will track out for inflation as well. So, we assume for how much inflation is going to be. We assume for how much their pay increment could be. So it can go up to quite realistic simulation within. So for the child, if we, just thinking about the living expenses and the excess extra money that comes with the child, not taking into account the major expenses, which is their university cost, right? So far, on their income alone, they would not have any big problems to have another baby, right? So this is from our simulation to show that their expenses will grow up a little bit, but their income is more than enough to sustain one more baby. But how much do they actually need to save for that educational fund? Because we all know that that is going to be the major expenses for the child, depending on where they want to study. And let's put it into the system to assume that the current child, um, when he reached the age of 18, uh, might want to go to study. As a parent, you might even have preference of how you want to mold the child. Maybe Stanley is working as an architect or someone in the architectural office, and he want his son to go into architecture as well. Um, all this example that you can put in within the system itself. We they have a standard gauge, a range of costs, including where you want to study that course. And for middle range, let's say that you want to send him to Singapore to study. Similarly for the second child as well. And if we put it all in, right, like I said before, you can choose other places that you want to send in, and the projected cost is based on their best estimate within the system. And when we put it in, you can see that it's going to put a little bit of strain to the family, but actually it's still going to be doable, right? All the blue color is using your take-home pay to finance this lifestyle. And the yellow part is going to be using your cash reserve. So you can see that when they are in university, you might have to dip into the piggy bank a little bit just to sustain it or through that period, but it's still doable. So this is a quick simulation to understand whether they can afford it. Is it going to be a problem? But what about if we change some scenario, which I'm going to do it live for you right now. Give me a minute. Okay. And we can do it right on the fly to simulate differently. And let's say that I want my child to study in a different place. Um, Maybe I myself is educated in Australia, and I hope that they can have the same experience as me. And we're going to change that to Australia. And when we put it in, you will realize that I'm going to be the Stanley in December who is going to be running our money. Okay. He's going to be running our money and how uh, to finance that. So we can work backwards. Okay. So this is the amount that we will be having some shortfall on, which is about 1.5 million from all the expenses. And how can we start to plan out for that? Maybe I want to start a kids education fund. So I can adjust, say how much I might want to grow my kids education fund here. Maybe I can look at my expenses and say that okay, let's try to start saving a little bit more now. Maybe not so much as 4,000 a month, but maybe 4,000 a quarter. We can do that, and let's have a growth rate of roughly about 10%. And we put that in. You can see that at some point, it will still put a little bit strain on us. So we can maybe during those years look into cutting down on our expenses just to weather through that period. But typically, it's still doable. So when you reach that point where I need the money, then I can say that, okay, let's start drawing down that amount to fund to fund the kids' education. And from there on, I can say that let's liquidate everything. And would I have enough to do it? Okay, something like that. For a simple one. Oh, and then you realize that I still can't really do it. How much more should I think about investing in. Maybe just saving up 4,000 per quarter is really not enough. How much can I do it? Maybe I'll squeeze in 2,000 per month to increase that rate. And would I then have enough? And then you realize that you might still not have enough for the kids to go to Australia to study the plan that you have for him or her. That means that you have to look deeper into rearranging the finances, or just changing the possibility of different maybe different courses that you want to look at, or different destination to look at, readjusting that. But let's, for the sake of this example, say that we are able to squeeze out and finally save enough to be able to save enough for him, and we can adjust maybe the growth rate to see what is the targeted that we want to reach. So within it, say, okay, so if we are really able to squeeze in 4,000 investment per month over time, we almost can make it for his entire education. How about if we are able to squeeze in and say that we can reach a 12% growth rate in our investment? That will take a very, very aggressive kind of investment. But for the sake of argument, then maybe we can indeed hit that. We can indeed hit that, or we can split it out and say that let's draw it down slowly and not at one go. And you can see that we almost can reach that. So we can work around all the situation and work out that, oh, maybe possibly if I can really rearrange my expenses right now to squeeze out the monthly investment and save up for that, and I can really find an investment that could potentially give me a 12% return over the long term, which is, of course, very, very hard. Then you might be taking a lot of risks. There is a possibility that I can indeed send my first child to the university that I hope that he will end up with. But that was going to be a stretch, right? And if we then you can decide whether is it worth the risk, or we want to take a more conservative approach to some place where we can comfortably afford for him and his younger sibling as well in the future. So all this we can, it is quite easy to do it in the simulation and to see what we came out with on changing scenario. So it gives you a better understanding to see your options. What are your options? If I make some sacrifices here right now, how is it possible to reach this goal? And what kind of investment return, if I simulated at 8%, 10%, 12%, which would be giving me a possibility of reaching that financial goals. So all these things that we can tweak out to understand how much I should be saving, what is the target return that I actually need to achieve to reach that goal, and at the end of the day, changing all this parameters. Is it still realistic? Is it still realistic that I can indeed send them to Australia, send them to the States at the current situation that I'm in? Or should I change my financial goal to be something more realistic and more conservative so that there's less pressure on the family? So that part is kids education fund. And we can also do that for financial planning. right? So now Stanley and Wendy is reaching the old age, or okay, they imagine that they are running into retirement, and Stanley said that the most I can work to is about 60. And Wendy is saying, okay, for me it's 55. So you work hard for the next few years. And when we plan it out, including all their CPF amount and their existing investment, this is just assuming they don't make any changes at all to their current plan. Um, they would potentially have enough. We can also adjust after they retire. Uh, how would their expenses change, right? After the kids are already grown up, the expenses for the family should drop down quite significantly. After they retire, it, it will also drop maybe another 20-30% for both of them. That could all be added into and we can simulate out. And if they do minimum changes to their lifestyle, they would still have enough cash to last them all the way up to maybe 77, 78 years old before they run out of money. So now they have to make a decision. Okay, uh, it seems that I can do it, but it's running a little bit close and a little bit without safety or margin here. How about for this simulation is assuming that once they retire, they take all the money from the EPF out as cash and just keep it as fixed D, right? And so you see the huge jump in cash and they don't do anything else anymore. What about we try to stagger it a little bit so they would take out their EPF money and on an ongoing basis, or after they took out the EPF money, they will actually invest into a conservative funds, right? So for retirement, more conservative ones where their capital is very much protected, and every year just give them um, some dividends, a little bit of return, maybe like a bond fund, and they will just draw down from that. So with that same amount of money, just maybe switching from taking the EPF out full cash and switching them to a bond fund and then slowly taking them out as they need the money, keeping the cash reserve at a comfortable level, they can stretch out their utilization rate to maybe about 80 something, right? 85. You know. So it's possible. But there's no real margin of safety right here. So, right, there's no real margin of safety right here. What about if they want to improve their situation? Let's go back to the actual simulation there. Then I can. Okay, let's zoom out. Let me change everything back. Okay. Yep. So this is the one that you saw just now, where if they staggered out their EPF, EPF investment and switch to a conservative bond funds and then slowly taking them out over time. That's how they can use their money to add a little bit of assurance and make sure that they can indeed sustain through. Maybe they can start a retirement fund. They can start a little bit of retirement fund. I pre-done something here, which is maybe just saving an extra $1,000 a month, right? If they are able to readjust their finances, right, to save an extra $1,000 a month, which is 3,000 per quarter, right here, and invest in something that is more realistic, maybe 8%. They can get an 8% return. Right here. If they start doing that, by the time that they reach, give me a minute. Okay, by the time they reach 60 years of age, that investment, 60 years of age, that investment could grow to around $2 million here. right? The blue color, see the blue color, right? So this is what will become of their investment that we have simulate for them, and so it means that if they want, they can really draw down that investment, no problem. I'm just going through the steps, but they could easily draw down. A, uh, give me a minute to make sure that I am doing it correctly. Yep, I think I already have it here. Oh, no, yep. Okay, you can draw it down. Maybe starting at 60 years old, they can slowly draw it down for the next 30 years. Can they do that? Yeah. So add a little bit of money for them to draw down over time. And you can see that they have more than enough to last them to 90 now. Hopefully, it's far, far more margin of safety for them with an average life expectancy right now about 78 to 80. We added a margin of another additional 10 years for them. Of just by having a retirement fund of saving extra $1,000 a month and into a targeted return of 8%. And if we change that to 10%, how would that look like? Now we can switch, you know, change that to 10% to understand how much would that change? How much would that improve? And they can spread it out for another 4 years here, their money. So then you start to think, is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk for us to invest in something that could potentially give us 10% just to extend that 4 year of cash usage? Or let's just stick to something more conservative and something that is more achievable so that we don't take too much excess risk at 8% and we can still quite comfortably have a margin of safety to our cash buffer. So all this will become a point of discussion between the couple, maybe together with me, and make a decision on to have a long-term plan. So now you're more aware of how to create a system to to reach your financial goals, be it either your child's educational funds or your retirement fund. Um, just by saving an extra $1,000 a month, how much would that actually help you in the long run? And you can see that it can help tremendously. We extended the age of, around 79, 80 years old when they start using off their money to another 10 years. And that could be a very significant uh, improvement. And if they don't end up using all their money, and that amount could very easily be a good legacy, cash legacy or investment legacy left for their children, something for to leave behind for the child, and of course including that they still have the family home, right? So all this is all well and good, and everything that we can think about, we can put in different scenarios to make sure that we give the couple a peace of mind in thinking about things, and also to give them options and run through each options with them so that they understand that if how little actions like just saving an extra $1,000 a month and being consistent about it, and having a targeted return, how would it change by having a targeted return of 8% to 10%? How would that tangibly change the results? That is something that give them more clarity to really think about. So at the end of it, we want to have it all, but can we really have it all in life? That's that's a question for us to ponder. And I actually think that with very, very well planning, it is possible, but most likely it's not going to be all at the same time. Meaning that if you want to have a good education for your kids, yes, it's possible, right? You have to make a lot of sacrifice right now to make sure that the kids would have the education that you want them to have in the future. Um, and if you want to enjoy life right now, yes, it's also possible. But bear in mind that you might not be able to save up enough for your retirement, or for you might have to have a very simpler retirement in the end, or your kids might have to make some compromise uh, for that. So with the right planning, we can see and understand where is the compromise coming from, and if we're willing to make that sacrifice, to make that compromise of understanding, should we be spending this money right now, or should we be saving up and enjoying that later, or is it worth to really not spend it now and extend our runway in the future for another 3 4 years after 90 years old, right? From the simulation just now. Maybe it's not. Maybe the excess money can be spent right now. Just enjoy it. We might not live into 90 anyway. So I hope that short case study give you a little bit more insight into how I think about financial planning and life planning with my clients. And also, this is something that I use to have a discussion with my wife as well. And I can assure you, although just now the sample is not on my particular case, but you can see that the child's education part is the one that I play the most with, and that will be the most serious expenses that I have to think about for me as well. So, what are your financial goals? At which a different stage of life it will change, but how would actually be the magnitude of your financial goals that you need? This is something you need to think about, right? So, going back to my own example, uh, the financial needs for me, for my kids' education, is actually far, far more uh, in magnitude compared to what I need for retirement. Me and my wife have quite a simple lifestyle, and you know that would not really change much. When we have no plans to significantly improve our lifestyle when we retire. So uh, it wouldn't really be that big of a change of expenses for us. Whereas right now, the biggest expenses that we have is still the kids, and the most significant part that we have to really, really sit down and plan and think about is really for the kids' education. So it will be a good part, on your side as well, to think about what are your financial goals, and actually how big of an impact are each goals that you really need to think about, and where is your priority that you need to think about, and and work backwards to see that what you need to do now, and how much you need to invest, and what rate do you need to invest, and can that possibly reach that goal? And if you can't, what are the things that you need to change? Where can you eke out a little bit more extra income? Where can you reduce expenses right now? And do you feel gonna be worth it to delay this gratification, and understanding your priorities? So all this we have talked through in the past example, and I hope that it is a tangible enough example for you to start seriously think about your situation. Um, if you want to share, if right now on our chat, if you are thinking about some question and you are willing to share with us, I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you as well. So right now, if you are thinking about something where I'm not clear, or you want me to think about a situation with you together, feel free to open up your chat, and we can have a discussion. While you do that, on our spin-off section that I do every time, I just want to introduce you guys a very interesting book that I have been reading. It's called Richer, Wiser, and Happier by William Green. This is the author right here, and he's a journalist, and he go around interviewing investor, because he write for the business column and investing column, and he has great insight from very legendary investors. From Charlie Munger, from Buffett, from John Templeton, all the great investors he has interviewed before, all their wisdom he has summarized, and including his interaction with them, and it's wonderful in a way, because he really brings down the point that wealth is really not the goal of life, but it should be a tool to help you reach the goal of your life. And very apt for our webinar today, where we talk about uh, thinking about what exactly is the goal that you want to achieve in your life, and how could wealth or building that wealth help you achieve it. So a continuation of our webinar, if you like, I strongly recommend take a look at this book as well. So that's the end of our webinar, and this is basically what I do now most of the time with my clients as well, to really review their situation, look at things that we can improve on, whether it suits their financial goals, and planning out their investment portfolio for them, and looking at if they need to be aggressive, or actually they can take a more conservative approach to reach whatever goal that they want. And of course, again, my philosophy is really going for high quality, and really building a portfolio that I feel is scalable. So I always uh, think in terms of, I don't want to do a strategy where if I have $100,000, I have one strategy, and if I grow that money to $1 million, and I have to a different strategy, um, I want something that is consistent throughout. So regardless of the investment amount that I have, this is a strategy that I can see myself holding on to it, still being comfortable with it, and building a true everlasting portfolio. And that's what I've been doing close to 20 years now. And hopefully something that you will be interested to chat with me about, and join in this discovery together with me, with what I have to offer in iFast. I see a question. Hi, Victor. Uh, you're asking, okay, I've seen a lot of company offering living trusts with return of like 10%. Their financial is opaque. What's your view of this company as part of your financial planning instrument? Okay, so yeah, I have come across a few of them. I have also a few clients that come back to me on just seeking some information about them. I would say that there's a lot of them, and they are not very regulated right now in Malaysia. Uh, but there's only a couple of them that has been around for a long time. I would not name the company. You can search on them, but I myself is not very comfortable with them at all. Mainly because they're not even being transparent about what they are using that money for. How are they giving you that 10% return so consistently? To me, it's just too much of a risk, right? They might market it as something very guaranteed, something very conservative, and naming it trust, calling it cash trust. All these are just marketing terms. But I myself is staying away from them. I rather take the risk in the stock market, where I know that I could potentially earn 10%, but with the volatility that comes with it, with the risk that comes with it, rather than putting it into 10%, a target return of 10% while not really knowing what the hell is happening to my money. And, just worrying every day when would they maybe implode or uh, the regulators might go after them. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing. And since they're not transparent about it. Yeah. Hope that helps you. Uh yeah. So if you have any questions, you can chat with me, or you can just these are my WhatsApp and how you can reach out to me on learnwithstanley.com. And if you want to go through that little financial health check journey with me, you can also join the waitlist through this Google form, because you can see the amount of work that goes into just going through one case study and one client. So I really want to take the time to chat and understand from each person, what are their concern and what is their situation right now. And it also takes time for us to build trust within each other to share sensitive information like financial information. I understand. So it will take a little bit of time. And so I hope that, if you want to go on this journey, uh, you can definitely register your interest first. Um, but I'll come around to it to you, hopefully. And I hope you can be patient with me on that, because I want to do a thorough job and um, a prudent job on each person who have given me the trust to go through this journey together. And thank you for the endorsement on the book, Richer, Wiser, and Happier, Victor. Yep, definitely. And also your recommendation as well, Joy of Compounding. Yeah, do check that out. So thank you so much for all of you guys. If you want to reach out to me, right, this is the official place you can reach out to me. All my official social media handle will be on my website, learnwithstanley.com, or you can WhatsApp me on both my Singapore number or Malaysian number. Do be reminded again that there have been cases, especially on Telegram, that scammers impersonating me um, on just doing some scams. So make sure you reach me through the official outlet, right? And just don't talk to anyone that is just having my profile picture on it. And every time I meet with you, I would always do it through video call first, at least, so it's me. And also, I'll reach out through only all this official channel that I have. Okay, thank you so much. And I hope to see you real soon in our next webinar. Till we meet again, guys, invest safely.